Hello and welcome to another epic tale of ProRevenge. My name's Ryan, the official host here at Reddit Voice, and I look forward to bringing you guys today's top stories. Before I do though, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you could stay up to date on all the latest and the greatest. So without further ado, let's jump into ProRevenge 2, Electric Boogaloo. Former boss botches me, then tries to withhold pay when I quit. Pays the ultimate piper when I pushed back. I consider myself a decent person and an above-average employee. I worked for a medical office directly under a doctor for almost 2 years and was consistently facing issues with him from the start. He was aloof, unhelpful, didn't want to train or help establish protocol, and just wanted me to run everything and take the fall for anything that went wrong. He was married with children, but flirted and slept with numerous patients and staff members. This isn't unheard of in this field. So I often just kept my nose down and tried to do my best at my job regardless of his after-hour activities. Problems started to arise more and more though, as he hired people based on looks and his attraction to them versus their qualifications to do the job. I tolerated a lot of BS, but the last straw was when he wanted me to do some somewhat illegal activities financially, and when I refused, the games began. I could sense that he was unhappy with my unwillingness to do whatever he wanted me to willy-nilly, but didn't think he was upset enough to justify punishing me or trying to get rid of me in any way. Then, literally all hell broke loose after a minor procedure I had him do for me. We were in good standing, or so I thought, and I thought nothing of having him do it at the time. What sucked royally is that he botched my procedure and caused permanent damage. That wasn't even the worst part. The way he dealt with it was. Instead of apologizing and offering to make it right, which I'm pretty understanding and would have accepted, he denied anything was even wrong or had happened under his care. He went into total cover-ass mode and methodically started trying to get rid of me without firing me, as it would definitely be wrongful termination, and the tension was becoming unbearable more and more each day. I was hoping he would make it right and we could move on, but instead every day was full of scrutiny of my choices in work and even a write-up for a minor offense that I had no prior warnings about. I could see the writing on the wall and realized he was going to wash his hands of me as quickly as possible to preserve his precious reputation, which I could definitely disrupt now with his mistakes with me. I noticed shortly after, a while on a planned vacation, he was advertising for my job. I decided to quit then and there instead of being fired. I was trying to fix the botch prior to quitting and hoping he would help financially. Nope, not gonna happen. Told him I was quitting, and since we were under very abnormal circumstances, that I would not be offering my typical 2-week notice. He was pissed. He was late with my last paycheck, in which he sent a snide letter with telling me he was done with me and my care with him. I'd noticed that the check was short for 2 sick days I had taken after the botch. We're talking around $275, but still enough money that I felt rightly owed. I had a ton of sick pay left, and didn't even give it a second thought until now and thought maybe he'd just forgot to add it. Nope. He responded curtly, saying I hadn't accumulated enough time to pay for the days. I asked to see proof of that because I knew I had enough time. He changed the accumulation date to another month and said tough luck, wasn't gonna pay. I told him blatantly that this was wrong and that I would have to report it to the labor board if he couldn't show me proof. He just bullied me back and insisted it is what he says it is, and again, tough luck. He even said to quit contacting him about it or he would report me for harassment to law enforcement. So I went to the labor board. I brought in my contract and asked them about numerous questionable offenses. They couldn't believe how many skewed things were actually going on that I had accepted because I didn't know or he had convinced me otherwise. They had me file all of the offenses and said that they would send us both a letter letting us know the mediation date. I got a letter in the mail from the labor board and almost fell over dead right then and there. What was originally $275 worth of an offense with the other minor claims and now penalties added from the labor board, the total was now $6,500. I laughed hysterically and couldn't believe it at first. I thought about him receiving the same letter that day and just reveled at the thought admittedly. Keep in mind, he didn't know at this point I had actually went to the labor board as promised. He didn't think I would do it. He thought he had won up until this point. Mediation day rolls around and he sits across from me with the mediator there and is steaming under the pressure now. We both share our sides, which he lied about numerous things, of course, and then we talk separately with the mediator. She explains to me that my case may be hard to prove, being somewhat that he said, she said. She encourages me to kind of take whatever he offers. Before leaving the room with her, I bring up one more thing to her that I was unsure of and didn't ask about before. It involving him not paying me overtime, and she lit up like a damn Christmas tree. Bingo! With that type of offense, and me being able to show verifiable proof, he would have to pay the penalties starting at $6,000 and whatever the judge added after that. She went and told him of this new claim, and he fumed out of the building, saying I shouldn't be able to add anything at this point. Not the case at all, and that he needed to speak with his lawyer. I get a new claim in the mail with the added offense weeks later. The total is now $9,600. I die again laughing and just basking in the thought of him getting the new claim. There was no contact from him this whole time, but now suddenly there's an email sent to me in the sweetest tone I've ever heard him speak. He pleaded with me that he never meant to withhold anything from me and that he'd like to settle this peacefully outside of the court. Of course he would, I thought to myself. I forwarded the email to our mediator and told her that I did not want to respond and asked her to deal with him and let him know I wanted to continue the no contact he requested earlier. Weeks go by, we're creeping closer to a court date. Suddenly, the offer rolls in, $4,000 and he will settle. I was set on $5,000 because of all the hassle I had to go through up till this point. I tell the mediator to tell him nope, $6,000. Silence for another week or two. Then the offer of $5,000 comes. That was my number, so I waited a couple of days just to shake him up a bit more, and the mediator let him know I'd accept. I received the payoff within a week, and then I got to wash my hands of him in the end. He thought he could cheat me and bully me, as I'm sure he's gotten away with in the past. I gave him a swift lesson that could have just cost him $275 to do the right thing. But now I'm going on a vacation to Hawaii and will sip a Mai Tai on his dime for trying to take back what I had rightfully earned and more. TLDR, had a boss that tried to bully me and withhold some pay of my last check after botching a procedure he did on me, causing me to quit. I stood up for myself and took him to court and won $5,000 for what could have been a $275 offense for him originally. My dad gets revenge on line cutters in the best way possible. So for Christmas one year, my parents got us season passes for Six Flags. We used those passes often throughout the summer as a family and had an amazing time. It was one of these days that it happened. We waited in line for one of the more popular rides, which was at the 45-minute wait point. This was relatively good for the ride, as you can wait for it up to an hour and a half at its busiest points. We got into line excited to share this ride with our dad, as it's one of the few he can ride, as he has a bad back injury that makes just walking around extremely painful at times. As we were in line laughing and making jokes while watching the little TVs they have at various points in the line, a group of people rudely cut us and stood in front of us. Our dad has a habit of not letting things slide, so we all braced for cover, waiting for our dad to go off on these people for cutting into us when, to our surprise, he didn't say anything. With confused looks, we turned to our dad, wondering why he hadn't told them off and to get behind us. He just looked at us with a look in his eyes, saying, "Wait for it." We shrugged it off and continued our wait. We didn't make it too far into the line at this point, so it was still about a 45-minute wait. As we got closer to the front of the line, we got more and more excited, waiting to get on the ride with our dad and have a great time. The way the line is set up, before you get into the loading station, there's a two-way staircase that has the regular line on one side and a fast pass line on the other, and at the top of the stairs there's a worker making sure people in the fast pass line are supposed to be there. This is where my dad strikes. After waiting the 45 minutes in line behind the cutters, we stood at the top of the stairs and my dad signaled for the worker's attention. Once he received it, he pointed to the group that had cut us and calmly stated that they had cut us at the beginning of the line. The worker then politely told the group that they would need to leave the line and go back to the beginning. They were pissed, but followed the instructions and left the line. The worker thanked my father for informing them, and suddenly pieces pushed into place in our mind. Our dad purposefully waited until the very last minute to make them have to wait another 45 minutes. Plus more time, as the line was longer now that it was later in the day and more people arrived. I couldn't help but laugh as I watched them walk out of the line and back towards the beginning and just hoped that they had learned their lesson not to cut after that. 14 people, including me, walked out on Friday the 13th. Update! Many people asked that I give a progress report of what happened in the weeks following our walkout. As many have guessed, we were all fired 2 weeks later. Okay, that's a lie. No one had been fired at all. One guy left because his sister died, and that's been all the casualties. Manager has been more accommodating to our requests. He's been more upfront about when praise is due to other people, and for the most part, he has stepped back quite a bit in production. We've been in the process of working with new software that's supposed to make our lives easier. So far, I'm the only one to learn it. We've invited 2 former employees back and moved things around to make our lives easier. Things are actually running smoothly for once. With the help of our GM and our new software, we've been able to lay the hammer down on pushed-through jobs that stress everyone out. This makes it so labor isn't through the roof and people aren't run down as much after 60 to 70-hour weeks. The only snide comment came from the silent owner who popped in 2 weeks after, saying repercussions were coming because of our stunt. Nothing has taken place. We all let it be known that should he do anything after, without so much as writing us up, we would all walk away again, this time not coming back. My employees look happier and have been working better. It's been a road to get to this point, but we're all the better for it. For those wondering, there's still no paper trail. No one was written up, and everyone refuses to sign anything almost a month after the fact. Should anyone get fired, we have all agreed to testify on behalf of anyone who should be let go so they can draw unemployment benefits. Union reps never called us. We took it as we have no need for a rep at this time. We'll move forward with one should things go south again. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the journey. This is actually one time the small guys won the battle. Good luck to those UAW workers still fighting the good fight. Don't let the big shots threaten you into submission. And to the uppers who took away their benefits and caused a child's cancer treatment to be halted, shame on you. You're scum, and this is why we fight. This call has been recorded for quality and training purposes. About a year ago, I was working behind the counter for a liquor store. I wasn't particularly busy, and my boss was stacking shelves nearby when an entitled customer walked in. She gets several bottles of alcohol and comes up to the counter. I estimate that she looks under 20. Good evening. Before I serve you, do you have a valid ID?
I don't need an ID. I'm 25.
Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm required by law to cite ID from all customers that may be underaged.
Well, I don't have any ID. Just sell me the alcohol.
I'm sorry, if you don't have a valid ID, I cannot serve you. So EC goes absolutely ape. She screams at me, calling me, amongst other things, some names I'm not sure we can say on YouTube and stay monetized. So a big duty head, a jerk, a squirty bum nugget, a funky fudge binky, a stinky toot bomb, a lily-livered hiney squeegee, a rotten poop turtle, an arrogant snot burger, and a hairy feces hot dog, just to name a few. I'm sorry you feel that way, but I'll have to ask you to leave the store. Still screaming invective at me, and then the manager, she leaves the store. As this is not an unusual occurrence, the boss and I laugh it off and get back to work. Thinking no more of it, fast forward about a week and I'm working again, when the boss calls me to the office to get a phone call from HR. Hi, what can I do for you?
We received a complaint from a customer that you were exceptionally rude to her on date Q. Due to this, we've signed you up to a mandatory course on customer service. It is at X at Y time and date.
Hang on a second. I grabbed my phone and switched on the record function. Could you repeat that?
Repeats.
My manager was here for that incident. He'll confirm that I was not rude to that customer.
Yes, he said that. Nonetheless, you have to attend the customer service course. It's mandatory.
Hang on. So you're trying to tell me that my manager and I are lying?
No, but we got a complaint, so you have to do the course.
So let me get this straight. Despite the fact that I was not rude to the customer, and my manager says that I was not rude to the customer, and she was literally lying about it, I have to attend a course on customer service?
Yes.
Do you know what workplace bullying is?
What?
Workplace bullying.
What? Why?
You are punishing me for an event that never took place. That qualifies as workplace bullying. I suggest you take me off this customer service mandatory course.
I can't do that. You have to attend it.
No problem. I quit, and I'll see you in court. I should mention that this call has been recorded for quality and training purposes. I put the phone down and chatted with the manager for just a few minutes while he tries to calm me down from the incandescent rage that I'm feeling. A few minutes later, the phone rings again. It's HR's supervisor. We stick it on speaker and I record again. What's all this about? So I explain it, and HR told me, and he questioned the manager and myself. After a few minutes of back and forth, he says, "Okay, I'll take you off the course." That's not good enough. What? I'm a victim of workplace bullying. I'm taking you to court. That's hardly necessary. We fixed the problem, right? No, I've been insulted and been told that the company does not trust me, nor does it trust my manager. I'd prefer to take my chances in court, as I have direct evidence of workplace bullying. What can we do to resolve this? 2 things. I'd like a raise, and you to personally send a memo to everyone stating that they cannot just send people on mandatory training courses unless there is actual evidence that wrongdoing has occurred. I'll see what I can do. Anyway, I got a small raise and the memo was sent out requiring a review of customer complaints before any mandatory training was required for staff. So I took the win, the boss and I had a good laugh about it, and admired my bravery in standing up to the dreaded HR. What pisses me off most, though, is that he thought how many staff had to attend training for something that was entirely the fault of some entitled customer. And with that, my friends, we've reached the end of today's top stories. If you liked them, you know what to do. Leave a like on the video and make sure you're subscribed so you could stay up to date on all the latest and the greatest. As always, my name's Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing you guys in tomorrow's video.